how many more times she's not debuting for AEW. John49864 on Twitter said that you're a jerk if you think that, and why would he lie? Mercedes Moné is all elite, Andrew.
Yeah, she certainly is.
It finally happened. Last night, Big Business opened with the arrival of a Mercedes, which gives the game away.
No.
Would have been hilarious if it was a Vauxhall Allegra. And soon after that, with brand spanking new theme music, looking like a cajillion dollars, Mercedes Moné arrives in All Elite Wrestling. How did we start?
Well, Moné addressed the AEW fans with several thousand extra tickets being sold just moments after Moné dropped the ultimate hint online
Yes.
that she would be debuting last night indeed, and declared to Boston that she was home. She thanks the fans for having her back and giving her the courage and strength and sticking with her throughout her journey. She declares more magic and moments will be created together in AEW. Now, Moné gets emotional, saying wrestling changed her life and gave her hope. She name-checked Eddie Guerrero, who was a massive influence of hers, we already know, and gives nods to her family and chaotic wrestling where she trained. She says, if I can do it, you can do it too.
She then gets down to business and reveals why she's there. She says, because I need to be. I want to be here. AEW is the only place where the revolution could be global. We are going to make that happen. Moné then praises the AEW locker room, but tells Willow Nightingale that there is a lot of unfinished business, which we'll talk about in a bit. She ends saying, right now at Big Business, Mercedes Moné is all elite. And she reveals all new ring gear, one of two costume changes on this particular night, and the now customary brick wall all elite graphic to close out the opening segment. She would return later in the night as Willow Nightingale's getting a shellacking from Julia Hart and Sky Blue to fend them off, leave them lying with her gory bomb-esque finisher, and take the ring to herself to close out Big Business. She bookended Big Business.
She did.
As she was supposed to, I think.
Yeah, and it was, I really enjoyed it. I thought the promo was really, really nice, especially, you know, when someone comes back from an injury like hers that's taken her out of action for a long time. It's nice when a wrestler kind of gets to get in the ring and just sort of express their feelings and gratitude for the fans and the company and everything as well. And the CEO thing, I know I'm jumping the gun here, right? The CEO thing, I can't wait for the CEO versus DMD chance in the arena when we finally get there. Nice. I feel like that's going to be a nice thing to see. I'm excited for that. I'm really genuinely looking forward. I'm glad that she addressed the Willow Nightingale stuff, because obviously that is how everything sort of ended for a long time for her with the injury as well. As you said, we'll get to that in a little bit. But I'm glad we've sort of tied it back around to that. So we are hopefully going to get some sort of conclusion on that before she moves on to some other things, I assume.
After the races we go. Tony Khan tweeting out, it's official, Mercedes Moné is all elite. A welcome to AEW. And the Moné started rolling in immediately, didn't it?
It did, yeah. So AEW shop dropped the first piece of Mercedes Moné AEW merch, branded with the slogan, no Moné, no problems.
No, Mo Moné.
Yeah. I read that. Yeah, sorry. Mo Moné, no problems. There we go.
To have more Mercedes Moné would mean less problems in general.
That's very true.
They couldn't fit all that on there to show it.
And then there was also an in-arena exclusive Mercedes Moné t-shirt that went on sale moments after her debut, and the line to pick it up, according to several videos, was several hundred deep.
Now, does that mean that people would have left the arena during the AEW title match? Because they put Wardlow and Joe on next, which I think is savvy, because you've got all this whole new demographic checking out AEW all of a sudden. Let's put handsome Wardlow out there next.
Yeah, why not?
Genius. But does that mean that there was a whole bunch of people who were in the arena who left during the world title match to go and buy the Mercedes Moné t-shirt?
Maybe.
Hey, you've got to make your money. Moné also was immediately added to the AEW promo packages, those bumpers that they have in the corner during the shows and stuff. So we are straight off to the races. There were some WWE stars in attendance entrance last night as well. You may have seen photos like this one of Bayley up in the rafters like Sting. Sash didn't rappel down at any point. Yeah. Bayley, apparently. I've been saying Monet so many times, my brain's gone weird. Bayley, Naomi, and Tamina were there. There's a TikTok that went out of Bayley, Tamina, and Naomi putting balaclavas on. Going like, they're not gonna know. No one's gonna know. Nobody's gonna know.
Oh, it's really nice to see though. After we've seen photos and stuff as well, obviously of Mercedes being there for Naomi. When she went to TNA and everything too. So it's nice to see that. I mean, that's friendship, isn't it? It's all reciprocated. It's nice to see that's the thing that happens for friends. Well done.
Sean Ross Sapp and Andrew Zarian have been monitoring this story since the start of the year. Yesterday, Sean Ross Sapp was collecting receipts like his accountant had been on the phone. And they kind of give us a detailed account on how all of this came together. How long has Mercedes Moné been on the books for in AEW to start with?
Well, sources confirmed to Fightful and Matt Men's Andrew Zarian that Moné has been on the AEW payroll for well over 2 months, with some sources saying that they believe the deal was effectively agreed upon back in December when Mercedes landed several trademarks in relation to her name. Those we have spoken to believe the contract is a multi-year deal. We're working to confirm that.
Now, does this mean that is the end of her time in New Japan Pro Wrestling? Well, no, according to Fightful Select, because they say, quote, "We are told that New Japan Pro Wrestling expects to be factored into the deal, and they were under the impression as of January that they would be able to continue to work with Mercedes Moné in a big way." Sources in the company said they hoped they could pick up where they left off with her last year, but are very aware that AEW would be priority. When did these talks between Mercedes Moné and AEW actually begin, Andrew? 'Cause there's a few points on this.
Yeah, so according to Fightful Select, it was a while ago. They say Mercedes was brought in during AEW All In to appear in the crowd, and AEW believed that while no deal was signed, there was an understanding the two sides would work together. Now, at the time, most didn't know exactly how severe Mercedes' injury was, which we're told was just as bad as she indicated during a recent interview. We were told at various points Tony Khan didn't want to simply have Mercedes come out in a walking boot or in crutches and set up fans for something they wouldn't be able to see for a little while as well.
Yeah, the injury that she sustained was an ankle injury at New Japan in May, and it was in that final for the Strong Women's title. It was meant to be Mercedes Moné that beat Willow Nightingale, but an audible was called following Moné's injury that put the belt on Willow Nightingale. It has since changed hands a couple of times to Julia, and I think Stephanie Vaquer is the latest one to have it. But it's why we're coming back to Willow Nightingale. It makes sense to kind of start her journey there again. But of course, there was some scuttlebutt about Mercedes Moné returning to her Sasha Banks roots, and that wasn't out of the realms of possibility for a while, according to Fightful, who say, when Fightful followed up in early December, we were told that Mercedes and AEW no longer had working plans, and the two sides were apart on terms. And it's at this point in December that she re-entered discussions with WWE. They could also not come to terms. There was a lot of talk about the sort of money that Mercedes Moné was after from WWE, and that was a big deciding factor in it. There was lots of speculation that we might see a Sasha Banks return at WWE Raw Day 1, which led to Fightful further speaking to their sources about, does this mean that Sasha's going? The fact that it was so quickly shot down, and the fact that contract tampering came up during conversations about Sasha Banks returning at the Royal Rumble, basically gave all the evidence that was needed. The Mercedes Moné had signed with AEW, but had yet to debut. There were plans for an earlier debut, though, wasn't there?
Yes, there was. So Fightful goes on to say, within the first week of January, there were already discussions about her debut, with some in the company even being told that both January 3rd and 10th were possibilities. However, Mercedes was not anywhere near physically cleared by that point, so those dates were passed on. And by January 4th, Fightful learned that the company was planning to announce a show in Boston called Big Business, where Mercedes would debut without technically ever being announced.
It was very much done in the same vein as CM Punk.
Yes,
It was all but said up until literally a few hours before, where Mercedes Moné basically went on Twitter and went, "I'm debuting for AEW tonight."
Yeah.
She just wrote Boston.
She did, yes.
We know what you're doing. And it shifted thousands of tickets.
Yeah,
That's
exactly. It
incredible.
worked, didn't it?
So now she's here. What's next? What do you do? I suggested yesterday when we talked about it, quite foolhardily, that she should go straight for Toni Storm. But of course, Toni Storm has a thing going on with Deonna Purrazzo, and it would be a shame just to throw that baby out with the bathwater for the sake of getting her straight there. I think this pivot towards Willow is where they're going. Basically, we kind of got the idea there that it's going to be Mercedes Moné and Willow, presumably as well in the mix with Julia Hart.
Yeah, with
and
TBS
Sky
Championship.
Blue.
Yeah.
Maybe a TBS title reign to get the ball rolling.
Maybe.
Could be the face of TBS.
Yeah, could be for a little bit.
But then I think the conversation would surely at some point turn to her being a feature part of the AEW women's division.
Yeah.
I saw Jamie Hayter trending last night.
Oh, yeah?
And a few sort of photoshopped images of Jamie Hayter and Mercedes Moné for Wembley.
Oh my God, how
there's
amazing would that be? I'd like that as well. There's a lot of really cool possibilities now for Mercedes in AEW. That definitely being one of them. 100%.
It's a spicy time. That was big business. Mercedes Moné is all elite. No doubt more to come out as in the days that follow on this story. And when we know more, you will know more at cultaholic.com. Keys.
Love you, bye.